It's another Raw video from your favorite YouTube scout, Draft Raw Authentic. Yes, I am here making another video, and like I said, this is a Raw one, so there will be no edits. Anyway, if you've seen the video before this, and it was the offensive positional draft preview, well, this will be the defensive positional draft preview. And if you already seen that first one that I just named, then you already know how this is going to work, so I'm going to just get right into it. You know what? No, I'm not going to get right into it. I'm going to explain it because this may be the first time you've seen me. So anyway, this is how I do this draft preview. First, I will give a summary about the position, whether it's the defensive ends, defensive tackles, etc., right? Then I will give an overall grade of what I think about the position. And then I will start naming players that I think will be the safe pick, the biggest bust, and the hidden gem. Now, it's not going to be a whole bunch of players. It's going to be one player for each of those categories. And to explain it further, I will not be explaining why I put these players at, the safe pick, bust pick, and gem, because I already explained that in previous videos that you can watch on my channel. So please subscribe so you can see more of these. So you can see what I had to say about the D ends or the D tackles or the linebackers and etc. But anyway, you know what? Let's just get straight into it. The first position that I'm going to preview, defensive end. Now, the defensive end position, I was very disappointed in what I saw. I felt as though this year's class wasn't as good as previous years, or, there's this one guy that's the top guy, and then there's a bunch of other guys that I'm just not sure about. They all have these huge questions about them. And from what I saw, none of them were very dominant. They were just all okay. So I was very disappointed what I saw. So overall, I gave this class a D. Yeah, this is probably the lowest in terms of grades that I've given. And the only other position that got a grade this low, sorry, I'm looking at my notes, was the offensive tackle position. This was worse than that. But to just get into it, the safest pick I feel as though is the best player in the draft, Bradley Chubb. The biggest bust I feel it will be is Sam Hubbard from Ohio State. And I'm sorry, Bradley Chubb from NC State. But if you follow the draft, then you know who that was. And I ain't really had to name school. But anyway, and the hidden gem for this position, I feel as though is Joe Oatsman from Central Michigan. Now, getting into the next one is the defensive tackle class. I feel as though this tackle class is actually pretty darn good. I feel as though there's a lot of guys. And I actually, what's crazy is that I have defensive tackle and I have a list for the 5 techniques. So I'm actually going to combine both of these classes together, and I'm going to give you 2 players for each of the categories, but I'm going to give an overall grade of what I've given each category as well. So I feel as though when it comes all the way around with guys like, the Vita Veys and Deron Payne, and I feel as though you have a lot of top talent, you have a lot of mid talent. The late round talent is not as good, but I think those top talent, because they're a good amount of them, it really sorts itself out. Now, what I gave an overall grade for the regular defensive tackles, or who I have at the defensive tackles, is a B+. And what did I give for the 5 techniques? These will be the defensive tackles / defensive ends in a 3-4. These will be the guys that will be lined up right between the outside linebacker and the nose tackle. If you didn't know what that was, I gave that position a B. Now, to say what did I do as the safest picks for both the defensive tackle and the 5 technique? The defensive tackle, I said Vita Vey. And for the 5 technique, I said Taven Bryan. The biggest bust at each position, I said Maurice Hurst for the defensive tackle. And I said Deshaun Hand for the 5 techniques. And the hidden gems, I put Justin Jones from NC State from the defensive tackle and Andrew Brown for the 5 technique. Now, going into the next position, we're going to talk about the inside linebackers of this draft. Well, anyway, with saying that, I just want to say when it came to the inside and outside linebackers, I actually I split it up to where a lot of these guys can be inside or outside. So it's not just me just putting out there like, oh, he's just an outside linebacker or he's just an inside line. No, it's these guys can kind of switch through both. But I split it up to guys that I feel as though that's where it's going to be their main position in the league. And so what I think about the inside linebacker position, I'm sorry about that. What I think about it is that it's a pretty good spread around position. I think that you can find pretty good players at all around the board. Your top heavy is actually pretty darn good. I think that you got some middle round talent, and the late round talent is actually more surprising what you think. Now, with that being said, I think that some of those guys that are late round that were inside linebackers in college are going to switch to outside linebacker. So it kind of brings the grade down that I gave them. But overall, I gave them a grade of a B+. And who do I think is the safest pick is Rashaan Evans, inside linebacker, Rashaan Evans from Alabama. The biggest bust, I think, is going to be Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia. And then the hidden gems, I actually got two guys, and that's Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech, I'm sorry. Micah Kiser from Virginia, had to fix that. And Shaquem Griffin from UCF. I think Griffin may be the best linebacker in this class, which is kind of crazy because if he didn't have one hand, he would probably be a top 5 pick, to be honest with you. But anyway, going to the outside linebackers, and technically Shaquem Griffin would kind of double as an outside linebacker, but I put him as an inside because I think that he can just play both anyway. But going to the outside linebacker position, talking about that one, I think a lot of those guys that were inside linebackers in college will change to outside linebackers in the NFL, so to me it brings up the grade. Also, there's going to be some guys that are going to be pass rushers, outside linebacker pass rushers, but can still play in a 4-3. So I think that that's what brings up the grade. And with the overall grade that I gave him was an A-. And with that A-, I would just say the safest pick in this draft for me at the outside linebacker is Roquan Smith. Now, Smith can double as an inside linebacker, but like I said, I had to split it up. The biggest bust to me is Malik Jefferson from Texas. Roquan Smith from Georgia, if I didn't say that. But Malik Jefferson from Texas is the biggest bust to me. And the hidden gem is Jermaine Carter Jr. from Maryland. Now, there's some other hidden gems, but I decided not to write all of the names out because, I mean, it is a lot. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to just name one more. I believe it's Darius Jackson from Jacksonville State. I really like him a lot, too. He's a hidden gem. Now, let's go to the safety position. The safety position I also was pretty disappointed in. I wasn't as disappointed as I was in the defensive tackles, but the safety position wasn't as good as what is being advertised because I've seen a lot of mock drafts where at least two guys go in the top 10. But these are just mock drafts. They're just opinions. But anyway, when it comes to that position, like I said, I think that you have some top guys and then you have some low round guys. I think the middle round guys is not as good. I think that those guys are pretty average and won't make a huge impact. But looking at this position, the safest pick I have is Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama. The biggest bust is the other safety from Alabama, Ronnie Harrison. And the hidden gem, I think, is Siren Neal from Jacksonville State. Now going into the next position, that's the cornerback position. And with this, the summary for the cornerbacks is that I feel as though there's a lot of different corners. There's a lot of different talent. I think that it's very top-heavy, and I think that you have some good talent in the middle rounds, but I don't know about the late rounds. I think it's some guys that will need some work, but it's not as great as it is in the middle and the top round. So with that, I gave it a B-. And with that being said, the safest pick in this draft to me is Mike Hughes from UCF. The biggest bust to me will be Dante Jackson from LSU. And the hidden gem is Levi Wallace from Alabama. Now going into the last position. Now you say, well, after corner, if you did safety and corner, there's no other position. The last one that I want to do is the 3-4 pass rushers. And the reason why I wanted to split that up is because not every defensive end in college is going to be a defensive end in the NFL. Most of them have to switch to linebacker. But more importantly, 3-4 linebackers. Now, in this position, I didn't think the pass rushers were that great this year, but I felt though if you was just looking at the 3-4 guys, it wasn't as bad as just looking at guys as you would say as defensive ends. I think that there was a little bit more talent out there for guys that definitely will be 3-4 outside linebackers. Now, in saying that, I gave this overall grade of this position a C plus. Like I said, not as good, pretty average, but a little above average, I guess. But overall, the safest pick that I feel as though at this position will be Harold Landry. The biggest bust, and Harold Landry from Boston College. Sorry, I didn't say that. The biggest bust will be Hercules Matatafa from Washington State. I'm sorry, I almost forgot where it was from. And the hidden gem for this position will be Marquise Hayes from Ole Miss. And that is the end of the defense positional draft preview. If you like this video and want to see other videos, please subscribe. Please share this video. And please comment on this video if you didn't like what I had to say. And if you share the video, other people can join in on the debate that we can have about what I had to say about these defensive position players. And please hit that like button. Once again, this is Draft Raw Authentic. And I want to say thank you. And I also want to say tomorrow is officially the NFL Draft. And I will be going live. So please check me out on YouTube. Thank you. And goodbye.